So this is bank.py, and this is an assignment we did earlier. So we're taking a greeting, which is inputted by the user, and it's converting to lower and it's stripping the leading white spaces, any leading white spaces that could be here in the user input. So it's checking then if the string hello is in greeting, so if the user input is hello, so hello Paul or hello IT Shed or whatever, and if it is, then it's going to print $0 to the user. And if the greeting begins with a H, so it's hi or hey or anything else, then you get $20, and for everything else then $100 will be given to the user. So now I need to change this into functions in order to test it with our assignment this time. That's testbank.py. So I'm going to write code here that will test our bank.py. However, before we do anything else, I'm going to convert this into functions. So I'm going to find a function called main, and I'm going to indent that because it's in the function. So here I'm going to create a function called value. I'm going to give it a parameter as greeting. So I'm going to indent all this now with control and the right square bracket, because it's all within the function. And then I'm going to paste in if underscore name underscore blah 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 is equal to main, and that is to call our main function up here. Now we need to make some changes, so I'm going to cut this out, as we're going to call greeting. So in our value function, we're going to call greeting again, the variable, and we're going to assign it to greeting. And we put the lower and the leading strip down here. Now we need to be able to call our function up here as well. So when all that is done, it's going to call value. So I'm going to call value greeting, and then I'm actually going to print the result of that to the screen. We need to change these from print statements to return statements. And that's 0, and that's 20, and that's 100. So let's just quickly go over what's happening here. So this line of code is calling our main function. So that is going to print this text to screen, greeting. So the user is going to input their greeting using the input statement. It's going to be stored in this variable greeting. We're then calling our value function using the parameter greeting. So this is our value function. It's taking the parameter, and then this variable here is going to convert it to lowercase if needs be and strip away any leading spaces. It's then going to save it back into the variable again, greeting. So we end up back where we started. So these statements here, this one's going to check whether the string hello is in that greeting. So it's greeting Paul, greeting IT Shed, or greeting John, or whatever happens to be. And otherwise is H contained within the first letter, or else if not, then just return 100. So either way it's going to return something, and it's going to return it back into our function here, and the value of that is going to be printed to the screen. So I'm going to test Python bank.py. So I'm going to type hello, and I get 0. Run it again, I say hi, and I get 20. And last time I'm going to run it, I'm going to go yo, and I get 100. So our bank.py changed into functions is working correctly. So the next thing we need to do is we need to work on our testbank.py. So the first thing we're going to do here is import our statements. So we're going to say from bank import value. So what this line of code is doing is going to our bank. So from bank, which is our bank.py, we're going to import the value function. So once that's done, we're going to do our first test, and that's testing 0. So for this, I'm going to define a new function. So I'm defining test 0. Now the function has to be called test in the beginning, but it could be called anything else after that. So I'm just calling test 0. And from there I'm going to assert. So assert is a keyword. You would have seen that in the lectures. So assert that the value function taking the input hello will give an output of 0. And I'm going to do it again. Assert that the value function and taking hello as capital letters will also return 0. And I might do one more time. I'll assert that the value function with the space hello will also return 0. So what this is doing here is it's asserting, as we said, we've seen this on the lectures, on the lecture series on YouTube or on edX, whatever you're watching on. So we're asserting that the value function taking this string will give 0. So if hello is typed in here, either in lowercase, in capitals, or even with a space in front of it, that it will return 0. So that's what we're asserting. So to test that, I'm going to clear and I'm going to type PyTest. And I'm going to test bank.py. And we have passed. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new function called test. I'm going to say test20. Again, you can call it whatever you like. So I'm going to assert So here I'm going to assert that hi or hey will return 20. So I run that again and we see 2 passed. So we have 2 functions, 2 of them passed. And the last thing we need to do is we need to create a new function called, you guessed it, test 100. And I use my search statements and I'm going to say Paul, or I'm going to say mailtheitshed, or I might do even one more and I'll do so I'm asserting that this is going to give a value of 100. So I run it again. And we have our 3 functions passed. So if I was to go in here, for instance, and I was to break this, so I said a T there instead of a H, and if I was to run our tests, then we failed. And what did we fail on? We failed on the 0 here. We're asserting that that string gives 0, but it's actually wrong because it's wrong here. We broke it. So this is actually confirming that our code is correct. Okay, all we're left to do now is check with CS50. Okay, all greens, so perfect, another assignment done. So thank you for joining me in this video and hopefully I will see you in another one shortly.